Welcome, wrestling fans, and anybody who just fucking likes cool shit. You're at the right spot, right here, with my crew on the show, the Big Stand and Pack Show, Big Stand with the wild card right down there. You know what? We got the whole crew here tonight because last week we didn't have the whole crew. And let me tell you something. We need the whole crew because when the whole crew's here, it's like a fine-tuned machine. The timing's perfect. Explosions are just right. And we're fucking nailing it, bro, because that's what the wild card brings this show. That's what Big Stan brings to this show. And that's what I bring to the show. Everybody. So we can't do this shit without all three of us. Hit him with it, wild card.
You know, I got to apologize for missing out last week. But the ladies of Miami are just a little too sweet.
Damn.
But I got to tell you, I sent invites to both of y'all. And you know what? All the ladies were asking, where's Pat? Where's Big Stan? And I told those beautiful, beautiful ladies, I said, ladies, they're at home. But when I get back, my main man, Big Stan, to watch this episode because Big Stan has got a message for all those lovely ladies that I had to leave behind in Miami.
Woo!
Hit them with it, baby.
It goes like this. When you are the first ever Texarkana wrestling champion, baby, you can't be everywhere all the time. But thankfully, that's what my main man, the wild card, was up to when I did get the phone call from him. Come to find out, one of those lovely ladies, actually pressed the hang up button before I could pick up the call. But it is what it is. Because tonight, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with this right here. On June 5th, in Texarkana, Texas, it's going to be your reigning, defending Texarkana wrestling champion, along with all the other stars of Southwest Pro Wrestling, bringing it back to you at the Red Bone Magic Brewery with Brewery Brawl, baby. That's right. They couldn't just do it one time on WrestleMania weekend. They had to have it two times back to back. So, with that being said, whatever you got to do to get to Texarkana, Texas, whatever you got to do in order to be a part of the Brewery Brawl presented to you by Southwest Pro Wrestling in the Red Bone Magic Brewery, be sure to do everything that you got to do in order to be able to participate, because it's really going down in this town, and that's all I'm going to say about that for now. Other than that, I'm going to take it to my man, Pac Daddy, so we can get ready to get this show on the road, because it's going to be one heck of a ride tonight. Now, can you dig it, sucker?
Oh, man. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and throw this out there to everybody in chat right now, everybody watching this on later on the YouTubes. Is my man Big Stan over here just told you. He told you June 5th. That's when he's going to be hitting. That's when he's going to be hitting the squared circle. And when he gets in there, he don't take no fucking prisoners. All right. But anything that we can do, I can do. Anything that anybody can do to help him out, we're going to go ahead and do a little any supportive donations that you would like to send towards Big Stan. Big Stan's pro wrestling involvement on June the 5th, you can send that right to PayPal. I'll have his address down there, and you know, I don't just support anything. My man's out there. And we know how that indie circuit works, that independence, you know what I'm saying? He don't get a lot of jack. He's out there. He loves wrestling, and he loves to do it for the people. He's bringing that entertainment value to every one of us, just like we love. We got our shows. We got our platforms. He's an entertainer. He loves to do it for us. So if anybody can do something for him, the information will be right down there. Go ahead. He's got his PayPal address and his Cash App. Now, if you ain't in a position to do anything, there's no worries. My man still, regardless of any of that, is still riding with us. He's still working hard for us. So if you can't, you can't. There's no worries. There's no special treatment. We love him just the same as the next, brother. So with that being said, that sound good there, Big Stan? Big Stan froze?
All right, we had a little technical difficulty, but we're back on now.
That's what happens when you're fucking live. It's
Somebody
just
tripped over a wire backstage, baby.
That's right. It's live, direct, and in full effect.
That's
and
right.
With that being said, we're about to get into this thing. And once again, if you didn't hear me the first time, I'm going to say it to you. Can you dig it, sucker? Man, I cannot get enough of that intro, Pack Daddy.
Hey,
I'm letting you know right now.
You know what we do? We bring the sauce, bro. We bring the sauce.
It's all about the sauce.
Hey, before we get started, man, I'm going to shout out some people. You see them in the chat, baby. Shout them out. Marcos, M3 Reviews. What's
M3
up?
in the house, baby. The one and only.
We have McDJ, ACDC, the soldier of the Three Live Stream chat.
What it is, baby.
Hey, McDJ, we put you in them gimmick, sons, because you're the soldier. Pop the trunk. Boy, Pop the Trunk is bringing them toys out the trunk. Like, you better watch out, boy.
Pop. What it is, baby.
Somebody call the fuzz, bro. Straight. So, with that being said, that'll take care of all the shout outs we got going on. Y'all got any shout outs you want to do before we get into the man, Booker T? All right.
Yeah, I'm typing mine up right now. Y'all know how I do. This is episode 4, so by now everybody already knows the routine. I'm gonna go ahead and type my shout outs into the chat. Actually getting in there with you guys. You know what I'm saying? To give my shout out to everybody that's hanging with us right now in the chat. You know what I'm saying? You know what,
hey, a wise man once said, you already know what it is. You already know what it do.
Right on.
So, man, but hey, it's great to have you back, Wild Card. Let's get into Booker T, baby, because Booker T is fire. Booker T, he bring the sauce, bro, every night, boy. He loved to fight.
Yeah, buddy.
So when you're talking about great wrestlers, so many of them, we start this biography off with his background. And his background is rough. You know what I'm saying? And here we are again with another wrestler, a great wrestler who had it hard growing up, had it hard, didn't get anything given to him. Are you starting to see a little bit of a pattern here with this?
Yeah, I got to say, man, the thing that blew me away early on watching this is just watching him walk around all the streets and everything of Houston. And because I grew up, you know, walking the same streets and doing all that stuff too. And just so I mean, just seeing all the old areas of Houston and stuff, and it just kind of hit really hard, really hit close to home for me. And so, and then all the yeah, dude, he just went through so much early on in his life before he started wrestling and stuff. So the beginning of this was done extremely well. Extremely well. I will say that.
And the thing that I was able to relate to out of this episode was Booker's trials leading up to him being able to become a professional wrestler. Actually coming from pretty much that same type of environment. I'm not going to say that everything at home was as intense as how he had to experience that, because that was pretty rough for him, losing his mom and having the struggles there in home with his electricity and water, like their utilities, being turned off, and they were already in a period of dreading how long they actually had, because it was so unpredictable to them. Everything that was going on, every turn was unpredictable for them. So it was like real challenging for them. You know what I'm saying? Just from at that young age right there. So still I can relate, because again, I come from that same type of environment. So it was just really, it was just something I could identify with. It just really hit home, probably more than any of the rest of the episodes that we've gone over so far.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing about this, because like Wildcard was talking about, when he saw him walking on those streets, Wildcard can relate to Texas. You know what I'm saying? They talked on the last one, and it was Hogan. When you relate and you connect to the fans, you're off. You're to the moon, because that's what it's all about.
The success right there.
And I can't say it enough, man, that so many of the entitled generation that is either you got rich folks, whatever it is, the content isn't the same with that wrestling. When you had to struggle and you had to fight claw and scratch, that brings something out of you that money will never fucking do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely true.
Why do you think you don't see a lot of superstars' children and their particular family tree following in the footsteps? Man, you just don't know what it's like to grind. I mean, you've had it given to you, and you may have a little bit of talent, but man, some of that talent comes from being put in the fucking gutter. Because like we talked about, this over here is the most powerful thing I have. It's the most powerful thing that you got, he's got. And when this thing is at work and it's in survival mode and you can bring things out of you that you just wouldn't when you're comfortable with everything.
Yep.
So man, I love Booker T, man. He like he said, his sister, he just loved to fight. He was fighting. I've watched several interviews where, he was talking to Stone Cold, and he's like, when I stepped out of the curtain, that was it. I wanted to beat your ass. Literally. That's what I'm here to do. Later on the show, we'll get to a little bit of that, because man, that's heat back then, bro. But I thought that was funny. South Park, Texas. South Park.
Yep.
Kenny. No. But no, that's awesome, Big Stan. I mean, there's a couple of these episodes when you watch them, if you don't feel a certain way or if you don't get a little something going on, man, I mean, are you human? I mean, shit.
Right.
Like, I didn't touch on this, but at the end of the Rowdy show, when Hogan said he got that delayed text or whatever, and the dude says, "Hey, I'm walking with Jesus,"
Voicemail.
I was fucked. I mean, and then you watch Booker T, and you watch what he had to go through and survival and all that, and it'll hit you a certain way. It's like, man, there's just a lot of people out there, a lot of people complaining about a lot of stuff that don't matter nowadays.
Yep.
Put things in check, man.
Yeah, it's like, again, Booker T's story in comparison to the other wrestler's story for me, just to clarify it, his story before he became a wrestler was one that I could relate to, as opposed to a lot of guys' stories that, when they became wrestlers or, were in the process. I was able to relate to a lot of that, but Booker is the one that I was able to relate to all together, the things that you endure before you actually get to a point to where you actually become somebody, in this world as is put out there to us, to make your mark as somebody, you know what I mean? But to me, everybody is somebody regardless of their notoriety or their accomplishments or whatever. But I know for the most part, the way that things are viewed and the way that they are put out there is that, if you become famous or you become successful financially in any way or whatever, so for his grind leading up to being a professional wrestler, I definitely could understand that firsthand, because the streets is hard. And if you can make it in the streets, you can make it anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy that, again, when I was able to break into the business of professional wrestling, it really blew my mind, how relatable it was to the street life, actually. Like certain plays you have to make, you know what I'm saying? As far as just how you conduct yourself, the do's and don'ts, it's just things like that, that the streets actually taught me, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
As far as just sticking to a certain code, and again, crazy to me, and I told my dad one day when I was talking to him about it, I was like, man, I can't believe how similar professional wrestling is to the way we came up. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, to me, it was just preparation for professional wrestling, and I'm saying that to say this, everything about the streets isn't always bad. You have your challenges out there. You have your obstacles. You have the choices that you are faced to have to make, and your risk that you take and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you have the opportunity to overcome all of that, and be better from that, then that's the payoff. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of people, throughout my upbringing that would actually tell me, and they would be doing things, you know what I'm saying? But they would tell me, that's not for me. There's actually better for me if I just insert myself into the right slot, and that's why I say, the neighborhood isn't always a bad place. When you're on the outside looking in, yeah, you're gonna say that's bad right off the top, but until you're actually in that situation, you really can't judge on that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's too much going against them.
Right.
And everybody just they're not programmed the same, or they don't have the same people around them to encourage them in the manner that they should. You know, because if you get caught up in the system enough to where, hey, you got to realize that's a business too.
Yep.
Nobody's going. I mean, and Booker explained that, you know, as when he got out of prison, they told him they'll see him again. You know what I mean? And because, you know, why not? That's their business. Another inmate, another number. It keeps their money flowing. So we have to realize that, hey, man, we got to do something in order to keep from, you know, continuing to go that way. You know what I'm saying? You got to be, again, you got to use this and come to realize, okay, you don't want to put yourself in that position. Find a way out of that and stay out by all means.
Go ahead, Wildcard.
I was just going to add something to what he was saying. Just real simply put, first world nations can't fix the problems of third world nations. Because you're seeing, you know, because you're not down, like you were saying, Stan, you're not down in the trenches with everybody there. So it's a whole different world. It's easy from a pedestal to look down and say, you know, to judge it. But yeah, when you're in the trenches, when you're in the mud, it doesn't.
Right.
You can't judge it, you know, until you're there. So
yeah,
100% agree.
The next segment, it was funny. What they call them, the Wendy's bandits or whatever, when they were robbing the Wendy's. Now we're gonna start getting to some good shit here, but we're gonna kind of work through that stuff. Now Booker T kind of took us through what happened. Okay, I got a lot of respect because I feel like he told it. It was him telling it. All right, and that's fine. All right,
yeah.
But I got a little bit of maintenance and cleaning some fucking house to do tonight.
Let's get it.
All right. The last episode was Macho Man Randy Savage. I mean, I said he's not one of my favorite wrestlers, all right, but I'm telling you, he still did work. They railroaded his ass, dude.
Oh yeah, they did.
They started and they went, and then they started going into the shit he was doing. Okay, I got a problem with that shit right there. The man isn't here no more to defend himself. And you're gonna go on there and you're gonna railroad him. You're gonna talk about his roids. You're gonna talk about him, you know, spying on people and shit like that. And it just didn't set well with me, man. I didn't talk about it last time because the whole crew wasn't here, and I felt like it was an important topic that everybody needed to touch upon. So that's what I got to say about that. So
I'm going to say this real quick about the Randy Savage thing, because this is Booker T's episode. So, I mean, I could do a whole episode about Randy Savage. The whole episode of Randy Savage, I can go on for an hour and a half make my own episode about how big of a travesty that episode was. They railroaded the crap out of Randy. But I'm going to tell you like this. They wanted to, in that entire scenario, they wanted to villainize steroid use and basically pin it all on Savage. And cortisone shots is a steroid as well. And cortisone, that steroid has worse side effects on the body and long-lasting side effects over the anabolic steroids that Randy Savage was putting into his body back then. Okay, so let's just take the steroid thing out of the whole thing. And then on top of that, for them to bring in Gorgeous George, second Gorgeous George, female Gorgeous George, whatever you want to call it. And at one hand, she's talking so nice about Randy. And then 10 minutes later in the episode, she just two-faced his ass and started just, you know, railroading. And then I'll say this about it too. Why was Lex Luger there being interviewed to the extent that he was? And Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage, they do go hand in hand to a point. But when you hit WCW, Randy, that's when you start to branch away, and Miss Elizabeth really deserves her own episode in something like this.
Yeah. Like, he speaks truth. Like I said, we're going to touch upon this because I think it's respectful to call out. I mean, WWE didn't have anything on that fucking show that they didn't want. Okay, A&E is not saying we're putting it on there without you. If they're doing that shit, they ain't going to be fucking on. All right.
Yeah.
So we know who's pulling the strings. As much as we love the content that they've brought us over the years, all the nostalgia, you done fucked his name over, man.
And not only that, you brought Bubba the Love Sponge in, and it's notoriously known that him and Hogan did nothing but trash talk him in what 2000 to God knows however long it was. So
right. Yeah, Hogan and Savage never reconciled. They never reconciled their differences before Macho Man passed away. You know, they were still. Well, I know for sure Macho Man still had it out for Hogan because of, you know, the dealings that Hogan liked to partake in with pretty much wrestling or whatever, you know what I'm saying, when it came down to Hogan. So they never came to a point to where they made that right. So I felt like, you know, from the way I see things, Hogan shouldn't have ever had anything to do with that episode.
Right. So what I'm saying, to cut it short so we can get back to our man Booker T.
And this is going somewhere, everybody, because this actually is going to relate to Booker T later on. So
that's why we're talking about everything is for a reason, people.
For sure.
So I'm gonna say it like it is. You did the man's grave fucking dirty, is what you fucking did. All right. Now let's go on. Like I said, the next segment they're talking about Booker T, and when they're on that crime spree, and you know what I'm saying? He was telling it. Okay. We all know.
Hold on, real quick. I just want to add to the Randy Savage thing, just real quick. That episode, you don't go digging into the negativity of Austin. You didn't go digging into the negativity of Roddy Piper, and you didn't go digging into the negativity of Booker T.
Oh.
You didn't make these 3 episodes dark, but you turned the lights off on Randy Savage.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. I'm glad you said that. Now, nobody is saying that nobody's had dark past.
Absolutely.
Nobody is saying that anybody's done anything wrong they ever wish they wouldn't have. Every one of us have. Every one of them has. But it's the way you fucking brought it to light.
Yep.
That's what you did. You decided to do highlight 8 wrestlers. That's what you decided to do. And he's one of them. Okay? Why? If you wanted to homage him and that's what you were going to bring, you could have done Ricky. All right? Ricky was in that match with 3, and you could have given Macho Man a little bit of shine. If you didn't have anything good to fucking say about him, then you shouldn't have fucking done his episode. Yep. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And just to add real quick, and then we can move on to Booker T, I promise. I think the rumor with Stephanie McMahon is true. And I think that's why the show railroaded Randy Savage the way it happened.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, man. When a man's in his grave, we definitely need to. God damn, dude. I mean, I don't do many freaking maintenance and clean fucking house sections, but god damn it, that's what I felt like doing.
Now let's move back to the five-time WCW champion.
Tell me you just didn't say that.
Right on.
So, hey, if people in chat, I know there might not be many people in chat. While we're talking, put in chat your favorite Booker T moment. Let us hear what's going on. And if you're watching this later on, put it down in the comments. What is your favorite Booker T moment? And I'll bet you probably have many of them because dude brought it. Dude brought it like nobody else, man. Like when he So we highlighted his backstory. So y'all want to talk a little bit about his WCW days before we take him into the next realm?
Let's start out with his time in global. Just I want to just mention that just for anybody that has probably not had a chance to check out the biography and it probably doesn't know, about that part of his career. I just want to be sure and try to throw all the elements in there for anybody that probably needs to be enlightened on it. So, his time in the Global Wrestling Federation, which was very essential to his career, him and his brother Stevie Ray came in and pretty much made an impact on those people and their company, in a way that is very monumental, and I want to be sure and put that out there just on the strength of, I want it to be known from the beginning to what led to WCW, which was their time in the Global Wrestling Federation in Dallas, Texas at the legendary Sportatorium. Again, him and his brother Stevie Ray were actually inadvertently put together as a tag team, which became the Ebony Experience. They went on to do great things there before being contacted by none other than Sid Vicious, that was in WCW. And again, I just want to recognize that time period because it was what really catapulted them into superstardom. So
Yeah,
what you got?
I agree. It definitely gave a very, very big foundation for both of them. The kind of, especially Booker, to really kind of cinch in a character and grow with the character, learn the character, move with the character, and just kind of essentially become the character. Absolutely gave him a great foundation. And what I thought was interesting, I've always thought about Booker T's career. What was interesting about his career is he only ever had like the two, what I call like mini corporations, like the small corporations. He only had the two, and then straight to WCW.
Right.
Like you don't hear, oh, he went to, Georgia class wrestling and then went to, Stanford World Championship. He's not bouncing around all over the place for 5, 6, 10 years before he gets picked up by somebody bigger. He had the 2 Texas spots, Southern Texas spots, WCW, and then WWE.
And I got to throw this in there too, man. I'm really in my feelings about the fact that him and Stevie were able to get their wrestling license within 3 months. Okay, right. It took me a little over 6 freaking months to obtain my wrestling license. I should have started wrestling back in the 80s when I was like 10 or 12 years old if I knew that I could get my wrestling license in 3 months back then. You know what I'm saying? That really blew my mind to know that.
And it takes a year here.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard several places in Texas nowadays takes at least a year. Are you don't even start getting paid until after a year in a lot of places.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Shameless little plug. Love what's going on right now. But Marcos from M3 Reviews told me that he actually got to meet Booker T.
Yep.
I'm actually going to talk to him about that on 3 Live Stream XXI number 21 a week from Thursday of next week. So we can hear him tell his story about meeting him then. And
I'll tell you a story about meeting Booker T. He's a big motherfucker. He really is.
He's so big up here that his head kind of just naturally goes forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Like up here is the powerhouse. Like everybody wants to talk about like here, a man's freaking base, and that is is his powerhouse, man. Them shoulders and the base. Now, Big Stan may be like, Pack dog, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Or he may say, yeah, you're right.
Nah, but you're right. Like he's all shoulders, man. He's all shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what's crazy is you see him on TV and you don't really expect him to be. And this goes for all wrestlers, right? Like you see him on TV and then you meet him, you're like, holy crap, you're a big dude. But Booker T took me by surprise because he's 6'3", and I'm 6'1", and I felt like I was looking up the Big Show still, like that's how big he was, just compared to me. It was just like, holy crap, this guy is huge. And then when I met him, he's standing next to Rey Mysterio, so that didn't do any justice.
Hey, Rey Mysterio ain't no joke, man. Dude may be small, but wow, dude. I mean, there's so many transcendence.
Yeah.
Shout out Rey Mysterio, man. But you were saying, Big Stan? He's froze still. All right.
Big Stan been eating them popsicles. He keeps freezing on us.
Oh. Yeah, man. I'm in and out. I was in and out a couple of times. So where were y'all at just then?
We were just talking about hold on a second. We were just talking about the size of Booker T. But the next segment, and that's why I'm getting into it when we talk about size. Dude, it was amazing how him and his brother were able to team up like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Fam being like that, and his brother was big too, bro.
Oh yeah,
he was bigger than Booker.
Dude too.
Yeah, Stevie Ray was bigger than Booker.
He was.
Stevie Ray's 6'5", I think, if I remember correct. And he's a good 30, 40 pounds bigger than Booker T.
Yeah. But that whole era there, man, that's amazing because that's a gift to be able to do it with your buddy, let alone your brother. And they ran Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat took it over, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I first was able to come across Harlem Heat in WCW, it was a time where new stars were actually being brought to the forefront, like Harlem Heat. You had Stunner Steve and Brian Pillman, one set of younger stars. You had the Steiner brothers. Doom, had already made their run, but to see Stevie Ray and Booker T in the fashion that we saw them, it was fresh, but it was representing the actual times that we were in. Nothing was dated about them. Everything was just on point, and then they actually get in the ring and show what they can do. You're able to talk and get in the ring and work the way that they were able to do it. Like, these guys were two African-American superhero type, real life, real deal. You know what I'm saying? And there's never been nothing to come across since Harlem Heat to even compare to them.
What's up, DFS?
I gotta say this about Harlem Heat. In this biography, Booker T was saying that they had a name but they needed a look, and so he went out and bought some Brooks and Dunn shirts. Now I'm gonna tell you like this: for the longest time, I was raised on Brooks and Dunn. I was raised on country music, and for the longest time until last night when I finally got the chance to sit down and watch this, I always recognize those shirts, but I can never pinpoint where I saw them ever. And then last night he finally said what they were, and it just clicked in my brain. I said, "Holy crap! Those are the Brooks and Dunn shirts from their album cover." And that was it.
Because you would have never, it would have been the farthest thing in your mind, in actuality, that you would have thought that they would have went and grab that look from.
They're talking about it right there, right behind you.
Here
we go, baby.
I wouldn't have,
Yep.
but it was very enlightening to know that, because for somebody like me, I could relate once again because I was always an open-minded individual.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm always willing to give anything that looks cool a try. And of course, Brooks and Dunn, they was the shit. You know what I'm saying?
I don't do a lot of country music, no sir. But I'll tell you what, I do like some Brooks and Dunn, man. The dude can play the guitar. Ain't no fucking lying about that.
They had that crossover appeal. Like, you didn't even really have to be in the country music, but you knew who they were, just like me. I mean, I wasn't really big into country music, but if it was a song that was if it was good enough to be able to hit the hood at the time, then you are the shit. There's no other way to put it. And Brooks and Dunn, one of those, you know what I'm saying? Like the boot scooting boogie. When the boot scooting boogie hit the hood, baby, you know you've made it in country music. That's kind of like when a rapper from the hood crosses over to that genre. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the same dynamic. And this is something to get people to understand. When I say we all need each other, I say this all the time. We all need it, whether we like it or not. Whether we want to come to grips with it or not, the reality of everything in this world is we all need each other. That's a prime example right there. Yeah. Booker T, brother Stevie Ray needed a look. They couldn't go to the Gap Band to get the look. They couldn't get the look from Earth, Wind, and Fire. They couldn't get the look from Snoop Dogg. They couldn't get the look from nobody else but Brooks and Dunn, baby. And look at what happened.
And they all did it. And they both did it under the light of a neon moon.
Oh. Can you dig that? Can you dig that? Everybody in the chat, everybody that's checking us out right now, can you dig that? That's a prime example of how you get down with the get down right there. You know what I'm saying? Be open-minded, everybody. Don't shortchange yourself by just sticking to one thing. Being a one-trick pony. Being one-dimensional. Any of that right there. Be open-minded. Be able to insert yourself in different facets and different walks of life. Because you never know what you might come across that you might just so happen to love that you didn't think that you would actually love. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, there's so many stories. And a lot of people talk, especially a lot of the people we're in circles with, about nostalgia. You can't fucking talk about nostalgia with our generation without that shit. You can't. I mean, it's there. And there's so many stories that we can bring to you. We're just kind of talking about the documentaries right now. But maybe we got some things in the works. We're going to bring you those moments. You're going to see the crew bringing it to you. You're going to see Big Stan hitting you. You're going to hear about the events when he's laying fools out in the squared circle. You're going to hear about Wild Card. Hopefully no more fucking Miami, you motherfucker. No more Miami. Come on now.
Yeah, at least until we get the biographies out the way and, kind of see where things are going to go next. But for right now, Miami, Florida is off limits to you, period. Let me go ahead and specify that right now so there doesn't be any kind of cracks.
Hey, baby.
Okay,
I was going to come back.
Where's another place where they have beaches and things like this? Virginia. Don't try to bounce from Florida.
No.
Yeah, go. Yeah, you're not slick as you think you are, brother. Now your hair and your shades are slick. Okay, don't get me wrong. All of that is what's popping. All of that is saucy. But as long as we've got this thing going on right here, with the biography editions, brother, you have to be here. Okay, put the girls on hold.
I just gotta say this. I was gonna come back a week early, baby. But if you would have seen what was begging me to stay, you would have made the same decision, baby.
I know, and that's why I didn't. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Okay.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, man. Hey, don't try to hold me down. Don't try to hold my boys down because it just ain't gonna fucking happen. We're gonna do what we're gonna do, but at the same time, you know what it is, baby. Now, I think that the next part they went into was they went into WCW when he went and got his solo run, which led to him, which led to the end of WCW. Go ahead.
Let me say this before you get started there. Harlem Heat's tag team run in WCW, one of the greatest in all of professional wrestling. Right up there with the Road Warriors, right up there with the Steiners, right up there with the Dudleys. You name it. They are right up there with them. One of the absolute greatest wrestling tag teams of all time. All time.
That's
all
right.
time.
You know what? Big Stan ain't lying. And you know what? McDJ, he ain't lying either, brother. Tell him what's up, McDJ.
Mac D coming through.
Dude, before we get on to that, because we'll be out of fucking time before we know it. The Roddy Piper episode when he went into Mexico, was it? It was Mexico. And he was going to he pretended like he was going to do the anthem, and he got that big heat when he played La Cucaracha.
Yeah.
Bro, when the Harlem Heat went into the ring and there was all those Hell's Angels.
It would have been sturdy.
Same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they went in there and they weren't backing down, bro. They laid it on.
But you know what they call that? Professional wrestling, baby. That's how you do professional wrestling.
That's it. That's it.
Straight up.
Now, before we move on from Harlem Heat, I want to say this, since this is a review of a biography. I really wish they would have touched on how Sister Sherry became Harlem Heat's manager.
Yes.
Because they showed her in the background during the interviews, but they never touched on her at all. They never said anything about her. So
that was the missed opportunity in that show. A lot of them have missed opportunities, and that is the one thing I noticed off the top that they missed out on.
Yep.
I'm glad you covered that for us, Wild Card. That's why you're here. That's why you're the Wild Card.
That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm gonna be paying child support to Miami in a couple of years.
Fuck.
Oh
man. So I
say that.
Exactly. Oh my God. Tell me I don't look like that.
Man.
Okay.
Wow.
We're gonna move this along because I have something at the end I kind of want to do. And also he went into his WCW solo run and he proved that the tag team, he wasn't defined to just one thing. You know, he put in the work, and we're going to kind of get to some stuff, and I'll touch on the stuff in WCW that I want to, and you guys can. But he worked his ass off to get that belt. You know what I'm saying? And Jeff Jarrett, like Jeff Jarrett says, if anybody knows Jeff Jarrett, hey, Slapnuts. What's up, Slapnuts?
J-E-double-F.
It's one of my favorite sayings, bro.
J-A-double-R-E-double-T.
He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites, period.
Yep.
And when he said it was an honor to go down and give the belt to him, people don't. If you don't understand that when you're taking them licks and you're putting somebody over, that's not you're a chump. That's you noticing and giving that respect. to that guy. And if I, dude, like I've always said, if I can take a shot from Big Stan, if I can do whatever, that's me. Like that's the ultimate, dude. You don't. It's not always about winning in the game. Go ahead, bro.
Oh no! I was just giving you your problem, giving you your credit, bro. No,
Yeah,
you roll with it.
It's not about winning all the time. Like you hear them guys talk, like it's an honor to go down to some of these guys sometimes because they earned it, they deserved it. And you know, there are a few guys in the business that weren't down with that. You know what I mean? Like you guys have some things to say, but how much did it say for him when WCW went under? He won the belt. He was actually the double champ.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got a double champ right here, baby. Over there. When he became the double champ, there was a lot of guys, I won't name them, but they said, we're just going to stay home and collect our check. What did Booker T do, fellas?
Now, hold on. I got to stop you right there.
Some guys collected a check and some did and some was weak.
Now, I got to stop you right there before you go on that tangent. Okay, I got to defend Kevin Nash.
I didn't say Kevin Nash. I said no names.
Okay. I'm going to defend some of it. Well, I've already said a name, so I guess
some of them were weak. Some of them weren't with circumstances.
Some of them, I will say this, some of those dudes were suffering long, drawn-out injuries, and they looked at a year and a half off with money coming in as a godsend. And truth be told, I love Booker T for what he did, but if I was in that position, I would have taken the money and sat on the couch for a year and a half as well.
And to be honest, now this is my first time ever catching that situation as kind of being on Booker T's shoulder, because as far as I knew, WCW was going under regardless.
Oh yeah.
And it was up for sale regardless. I don't think that Booker T was going to be able to have any influence on WCW staying afloat. I think that was a deal, if I'm not mistaken, because we're talking over 20 years ago now, but Time Warner was under some sort of what was it? Some sort of
takeover
buyout from the corporation. You know, like it was a corporate deal, but it was to where whoever the investors were that were taking over, they didn't want wrestling on the station anymore. If I'm not mistaken.
So let me help you out real quick. So there's a bunch of investors that were coming in. They were taking over Time Warner for Ted Turner. They were taking over all of his control.
Right.
And they didn't want wrestling on any of their TV stations, anything else. And at a time, Eric Bischoff was going to try to buy out WCW with his own investors, and that fell through. But a lot of these wrestlers were under contract, who were under contract with Time Warner. And when WCW closed, Time Warner started to pay out those contracts. WCW had its own contracts, not under Time Warner. Right. So a lot of those contracts, or all of those contracts, went to WWE whenever WWE bought out WCW. That's why you didn't get people like Hall, Nash, Hogan, and a few of the other big ones right off the bat. DDP and Booker T were under Time Warner contracts, but they chose to take the WWE deal and void their contract with Time Warner to keep wrestling.
Well, let me rephrase that, okay? Let me rephrase that so it's perfectly clear. I'm trying to talk about Booker T and what he did, the accomplishments he made. A lot of when WCW went under, those guys were still under contract. They still got money from Time Warner. Time Warner couldn't do anything about it. They were under contract. All right. So they had the option, I can sit at home and I can get paid, which I said was weak, and that is wrong with me. What I meant to say was it shows to the strength of Booker T, because he has injuries just like the next guy. he could have fucking tried to take that time to heal up. It's just different levels. And I'm giving him that respect that he was like, dude, I could, but no, you know what? I'm getting to my pinnacle. I've worked so fucking hard. I just got the belt. I'm going to go into this company and I'm going to show them that I'm going to do everything I have to do. And I don't care what it is to be on top again. So that's what I want to say. It shows to the strength of him.
I will say this. Go ahead, Big Stan.
Yeah, and to Booker T's in-ring credibility, from the stories I heard back in the day, you know, Booker just wasn't the guy that you really want to have to step into the square circle with in the first place, because if anybody had any doubts of the physicality that was brought about in professional wrestling, Booker T was one of those guys that was going to erase that doubt from your mind. If you know what I'm saying, if you know where I'm coming from.
He said
he was going to kick your ass. Period.
When I went through the curtain, I literally want to beat your ass. You know what I'm saying? That was his mentality. So go ahead, Wildcard.
I was just going to add this. You got to look at this way too. Booker T, next to Diamond Dallas Page, was the only wrestler in WCW that made it to that top NWO type of level by the time WCW closed. So with all these other wrestlers that already had a big name for themselves, Booker T, if he would have sat at home, DDP would have sat at home, I don't think we would be sitting here and watching an AEW documentary on Booker T. Simply put, because he would have wasted a huge opportunity right there and then. Because WWE fans at that time, they knew about Hall, Nash, Hogan, Savage, because they all came from WWE. They didn't know about Booker T.
WWE fans were like, quote, "Who the blue hell are you?"
Yep.
But there's a section I want to get to at the end before we go, but that brings us into, I know we're skipping, we're kind of moving a little fast. We're doing some things.
Real quick before we end.
No, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Before we end the WCW thing, another thing that I felt like was a missed opportunity for them to talk about is why he went back to the GI Bro gimmick. Slightly before WCW went under.
I'll be right back. But before I go, oh my God, the GI Bro gimmick was fucking fire, bro.
Yeah, it was.
That was fucking fire. I'll be right back.
But yeah, I feel like that was a waste of an opportunity to kind of put that there as well, because WCW in their dying light, I mean, that was a lot of the reason. They touched on the Jeff Jarrett laying down for Hogan bit. So Booker T had that title match at the end of the pay-per-view. But when they rebooted WCW, man, they made him GI Bro again. And they really should have touched on that, I feel like, to kind of get his thoughts about why, just to interview him about how he felt about becoming GI Bro again. And I say all that, but I want to put an asterisk next to it. We don't know what they talked to him about behind the scenes, because a lot of this footage has been edited and cut down and left out and all this stuff too. And if A&E says you got an hour and a half to tell the story, then there's going to be a lot of chopping and cutting down and stuff like that. So,
yeah. And it's like, if you have any enlightenment on why he was able to go back to, or why he had to go back to the GI Bro gimmick, that's what we're here for, to touch on things that the shows probably didn't get a chance to, or just put more of a highlight on it. You know what I'm saying? So if there's anything that me personally, I didn't even understand that part, other than, because at that time period, you had Hacksaw Jim Duggan representing Team Canada. It was a lot of obscure things, like the wrestling fans of today, this younger generation of fans, they eat all of that kind of stuff up, and that's a good thing. Like there was a lot of different events that took place in that particular time period that you're talking about, and I don't know if that was just a means for WCW to twist things up for Booker T, along with all the other members of the what was it?
The New Blood.
I'm sorry.
The New Blood.
Yeah, it was a New Blood, but then the military faction that Booker T was a part of.
Yeah.
You know that made it to where he had to become G.I. Bro again. I can't remember the name right off. Might have been MIA or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I would like to know what that was about, as a matter of fact.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't remember what started it, why it happened. I do think that WCW was trying to shake things up, just with different characters after the reboot and stuff like that. Because I mean, at that point in time, because I turned the channel shortly after he had become G.I. Bro again, and that's because if you weren't watching WWF at that time, you weren't watching wrestling,
Right?
So, so I think there's a lot of WCW stuff that gets left kind of under the water, under the bridge, so to speak, or whatever. But this was a time where Hogan was dressing in all black. Like you're saying, Jim Duggan was carrying a Canadian flag. Just really weird, really oddball stuff, and this is why WCW was in the state that it's in. Like Hogan said, and real quick, I need to bust Sam Roberts down just a little bit, because Sam Roberts said in this documentary, since this is a review, he said in '96 Hulk Hogan went heel for the first time. That was the first time in his career that he was ever a bad guy, and I got to correct Sam Roberts on that because he should know better.
Right.
Before he was in WWE, Hulk Hogan was a bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He was even a bad guy in WWE.
Yep.
Well, at the time it was I can't remember to the detail if it was a WWF at that time, or had they gone into Vince McMahon Jr. taking over, but he was a heel for sure because he had Classic Freddie Blassie as his manager for a time. If you know what I mean, but I kind of know what Sam was probably trying to hit at. I mean, it was the first time that Hogan actually became like the biggest heel. You know what I'm saying? He was the biggest heel in wrestling. But nah, it was definitely not the first time he had become a heel. Yeah, he got that one wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to we got Galvatronics in here, bro. What's happening, man?
G Double in the building.
That's right, man. Look at that.
He's G Double and I'm Double G. When you're talking about the 3 live stream, baby.
You got Double G, GW, Wild Card, M3, Pack Dog, and look at that. Look at that double champ right there. Right there.
All the way, baby. All the way.
Look, like I talked to you after your match, Big Stan, and the amount of heart and the way you feel after a match. That sums it up, doesn't it? Oh
yeah, definitely. It's a lot going on at one time, so many emotions, so much energy, you know what I'm saying? And as crazy as it might sound to some people, that's what actually holds you up at that particular time as a human being. That's the supernatural thing that takes place, because you're tired, you're worn out. You know what I'm saying? Like your body physically has had all that it can stand. But when those people, when you are absorbing the energy from those people, it's what you have to have in order to keep going.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I want to support Big Stan and what he does. If I can throw him a little jack to help him out, because he's just like us. He goes to work every day. He busts his ass. He's busting his knees, his elbows, and he goes in and he's working out. He's doing the freaking wrestling, It's nonstop, and he ain't getting a lot of juice for that. He ain't getting a lot of money when he goes out and wrestles. He does it for the love of the business and the love for the fans to entertain us, to give us something. And he does. bro. Like
aside
when he,
from my normal everyday 12 hours of driving a forklift, you know, that's a lot of wear and tear on your body because those forklifts don't have a lot of shock absorption while we're riding up and down those concrete floors and things in the warehouse where I work. You know, I'm responsible partially for selling tickets.
like,
You know, I print you know, I get my t-shirts done so people can have a way to represent me, you know, in a fashion outside of the shows or whatever, you know. I mean, and thankfully they want to be able to represent me like that, you know, but I don't profit a lot from things like that, you know what I'm saying? But I try to do everything that I can by going on the Facebook pages, the Instagram, and you know, different things. I just try to make it known to people, you know, and make people aware. And that's been my job pretty much ever since I got into professional wrestling, was to bring the awareness up that in this area there is about to be professional wrestling again, and it's been that.
yeah. Thank you, Froze again. We got live TV, baby. You gonna say something, wild card?
I was just gonna say, man, baby, Johnny, you in the back. You need to stop tripping over those
All
wires,
right,
baby.
we got cut off again. But
We
yeah,
got
it's
you.
what I was saying. It's been that way since I broke into the business 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's why if you hear me, Big Stan, I'm gonna take it over for you. I don't do things to where I don't ask people for money, and I don't put to causes unless I believe in them. And that's a guy that once you get to know Big Stan,
All
he
right, I'm
has
back.
your back.
Back.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? He is like when we call him the heavyweight champion, that's a 3 live stream. He is my people's champion. And you guys need to get to know him. Get on his channel, get in his comments, get on his IG, send him some love, get to know him, get to know Wildcard, get to know all of us. And if anybody has any problems with me promoting the donations to him, then you can come talk to me because I do what I believe in, and I believe in my brother over here.
I appreciate that very much.
So I don't know how long you all want to roll. I know how long we normally roll, but there's a little something I want to do at the end. So let me get that ready while y'all talk.
Let's go ahead and get into some WWF/WWE parts of Booker T's career, because he was indeed one of the last wrestlers that was able to be up under the actual WWF banner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Before they went to WWE, before they became WWE,
Yeah,
it's little details like, you know, that
we
I
have
feel.
to give some shine to the WWE run. So go ahead and fire that off while I put a little something on for everybody.
All right, definitely. Yeah, you know, like with him coming into the World Wrestling Federation and instantly being inserted into a feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. All of that was big. You know what I'm saying? Within itself, you know, we were starting to see these crossover type matches and things, you know, but before that actually happened, you know, it was WCW within WWF, when which they had their own segment at the second half of the shows on Monday Night Raw. You know, it would actually go into becoming Monday Nitro, and Booker T faced off against Buff Bagwell, somebody that I was able to cross paths with personally and be able to share the ring and locker room with. And you know, it was things like that he was a part of that were big time pivotal moments in professional wrestling, especially from today's outlook. You know, it's little things like that, little time periods and things and events that happened that Booker T was a part of, thankfully, you know, and that helped to catapult him even further up to the point to where, you know, he had to go. He had to start all over, and it eventually led to his first World Heavyweight Championship run against Triple H, which, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, he should have won that night. He should have come out on top that night. You know, there's just sometimes in wrestling where the wrong man wins. Triple H didn't need the W that night.
Yeah.
You know.
Triple H.
Well, what I wanted to go, I know you guys are hot and heavy on this. That's why when these biographies are done, we got to bring these stories within the wrestling to the people. You know what I'm saying? There's so many pockets, there's so many stories, there's so many guys and angles and spots, you know what I mean, that we could talk about. But how
you know, and I don't want to skip too much, but you know, him and Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, aka Goldust, you know, they were actually a tag team, and I was able to see them live in my hometown of Texarkana. I think it was back in like 2002, and you know, he was hot and heavy, man, you know, and that's pretty much what led to him facing Triple H. And then you got to think about the fact Booker T was actually one of the very few people to beat Goldberg, and he beat him early.
Yeah, but
you know, it's not very many people in WCW from WCW that beat Goldberg, and Booker T beat him, and he beat him clean. So that's another thing that goes to his credit. Like, why in the hell, from a wrestling standpoint, does Booker T not beat Triple H? You know, and he's got everything going his way. I couldn't understand that.
Because Triple H has got a golden shovel, and he's going to bury everybody with it, especially at that point in time. And my whole issue with that entire storyline was built up to have Booker T win, and then Booker T loses. Like, dude, he even hit Triple H in that match with the Harlem Hangover, and he didn't use the Harlem Hangover in WWE until that match.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying, man. There's so many different areas and so many different things we get into. But there's one thing I want to end this off with. You know, this is after this, but I want to end it off with how magnificent he was up here, how he knew what to do. After this, he went on real quick to be King Booker. He went on to be 2-time WWE Hall of Famer. But what I wanted to give some shine to was just how good he was when he came in and he was working with Austin. I'm getting ready to show the grocery store match. And dude, I mean, the grocery store match is like one of my favorites. McDJ, I think he was talking about earlier, I told you I'd get to it, as Austin talks about in the documentary. They had a canvas. You know what I'm saying? They just painted, they just had all that. I mean, it was amazing when you look at that. I mean, when he came in, you know, nobody knew he was coming out. All of a sudden, Booker T was coming in, and he was throwing Austin on the table, and Austin got hurt. Austin said right in the documentary it wasn't his fault. You know, I was real sweaty. I slid off the table, and I caught my back on that chair. You know, because a lot of people gave Booker T heat back then. I remember it. You know what I mean? And that was the man saying, no, that's not how it went down. You know.
I want to address this about the grocery store match too. It's something you never see. So when you see them in the back and they're fighting in the refrigerated section, all right,
got milk.
That's right. Okay, so check this out. What a lot of people don't remember because they never show it anymore is Austin comes out of the refrigerator with that milk jug in hand. He walks out of the refrigerator. And, you know, they always show him just standing there. You got milk, book, and then, you know, beating the ever-loving crap out of. But I remember, man, watching that episode of Raw live and watching him step out of that refrigerator because I was mad. I was like, oh, Booker T gets a cheap shot and he wins. That's BS, you know? And then Austin walks out of that refrigerator, man, like he was a Terminator, bro. And then
but this is what I'm talking about. Booker T was taking a lot of licks in there. But you know what? Who was getting over? Who was getting over?
Booker T.
That's right. And who was putting him over?
Stone Cold.
Oh, baby.
That's because, and he talked about, he saw. Go ahead.
Yeah, it all goes hand in hand. You know, it all has a lineage to it.
Yeah.
Dude, I just sit back and I watch some of these iconic moments and I just smile. I just laugh. And I step out of
just like when he became King Booker, ruler of the SmackDown world. He basically took Macho Man's index finger, flipped it around, and that is his homage to the Macho King right there. Me, with my Friday night edition, Big Stan Harris professional wrestling t-shirt for 2021, the blue Friday night edition being worn tonight in honor of the ruler of the SmackDown world, none other than your one and only King Booker, the most majestic of all time.
Dude, it's such a it's such a good honor to be able to talk about some of these guys, and it's an honor to be able to do it with two of my good friends. It's an honor to do it with everybody I know in the chat. Like I said, if you're watching this later, comment down below with your favorite Booker T moments, man. Shout them out. Give them some action. And like I said, let's go ahead and see what we can do to help Big Stan in his June 5th Southwest Pro Wrestling event. What time does that start, sir?
It'll start at the meet and greet will start at 6 p.m. and the bell will ring. The opening bell will ring at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Again, it'll be at the Red Bone Magic Brewing Company in Texarkana, Texas. And tickets are on sale now. I should have my next promo for that event ready and released by next week. I'm going to know more about it once I get with the promoter. And we're just going to see what we're going to do with it and everything. And we'll just go from there. But I'll keep you informed through Instagram, Facebook, like I normally do, you know.
Right.
And even here on the 3 live stream, if something late breaking occurs, you know, just continue to tune in to the 3 live stream, whatever shows that are going to be aired between now and June 5th. Doesn't necessarily have to be this show. Doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, the Thursday night sessions. It could be on the comic book session, you know, any of it, any show, any edition. So just stay tuned to the 3 live stream channel.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and get out here. Wild card. Bro, I know you want to hit him with something.
Well, just real quick, I got to address something that was said earlier about me in chat. You see, it's real quick. It's a Mac DJ ACDC. Ravishing Rick Rude learned everything about being a ladies' man from me, baby.
Okay.
And in regards to Big Stan, don't be afraid to hit the man up on Instagram. So that way you can keep in touch with the champ himself. And like you said earlier, to keep up with the information.
Right on. That's right. Hit me up, baby. Hit me up.
All right, man. I think that's going to be it for the show. There is so much more we could fucking talk about. So much more.
Yeah, I'm going to say this because I don't want this to go unrecognized, unnoticed Booker T's wife, Charmel, aka Queen Charmel, was another very essential part of his career.
Yes.
Going into the the King Booker phase of his career, she was just as big of a part of that run. You know, other people like JBL, William Regal, hell, even Rey Mysterio, when he beat Rey Mysterio for the World Championship for the 6th time. Okay, his Booker T's performance in order to keep Rey Mysterio looking strong when he told the referee after he had cheap shotted Rey Mysterio, knocked him out with the belt, and had the referee to hurry up and come and make the count. And Booker told him, "Come on, come on." You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that, you know, that you have to be sure to highlight when you're talking about Booker T, aka King Booker, because he was that damn good. Yeah, I'm stealing a reference from Triple H, but when you look at it, I'm sure Triple H is probably saying the same thing, if not more, because Booker T is all that and some more. So I just wanted to be sure and incorporate his wife Charmel, and you know, the life that they were able to create for themselves, and you know, their families and everything. His brother again, Stevie Ray. I mean, he was just as big. You know, I love and enjoy watching Stevie Ray also. So I hope that this episode, you know, did Booker T's run a lot of justice, because he's definitely one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Very well deserving of his accolades, along with Stevie Ray and everybody that played a part in his career, being as monumental that it is.
That's why I do this show, because I know they're gonna have my back. We are so restrained on time. Okay, we can't touch on everything. His wife deserves so much credit and respect, you know, for what, you know, for the role she played, and just being with him, just being his partner in life, just seeing him through everything. I feel bad because we didn't get to everything. That's why I'm hopeful.
We covered it pretty good, though. I mean, we got the best parts of it covered. You know,
I'll say this about the episode: this is arguably the best episode so far.
But
if you're gonna watch any of them out of the 4, definitely check out the Booker T episode.
You'll leave feeling good about it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It does. I wish we could go on more and just keep going in this run, but that's why I'm hopeful we get to do the other show after this, and we can really just, as a whole, we can take a poll on Instagram, what kind of moment you like to talk about, and then we can talk amongst ourselves at times. Hey, what event should we cover this time? Because it's just not enough time to give that man the shine he needs, his family, all the work he put into his family, his children, his wife, you know, all respect to them, sir. And I hope we did your name well. We definitely have fun while we watch you. You have provided us with countless hours of entertainment. We love you.
Check out his Hall of Fame on his Reality of Wrestling YouTube channel. He's one of the absolute best at doing wrestling news, at covering any of the late breaking events in wrestling. I mean, this guy is literally doing his thing like no other when it comes down to the sport of professional wrestling. I mean, if you aren't already you know, up on Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, which is actually his promotion, along with the YouTube channel that covers all the events in wrestling. I mean, you can't go wrong. I'm just going to put it like that. I just thought I'd go ahead and plug that in as well. Sure. As a matter of fact, he's the reason why I wanted to do wrestling along with a lot of others. You know, I remember doing the spin rule and Harlem sidekick on random people during lunch break on my last year of school. I had one of the homeboys told whoever it was. It didn't make no difference. It could have been one of the homeboys, one of the homegirls. It could have been the teacher, could have been the hall monitor. It didn't matter. Somebody was going to get Harlem sidekicked in 1997 by Big Stan before he ever became Big Stan. You know what I'm saying? I just thought I'd throw that in there. But
Yeah.
Ian, he's the reason why I want to start doing some sort of live stream presentation. You know, I have no shame in saying who I'm inspired by. When it comes down to wrestling-based content, he was the reason why I want to do something like this.
Yeah, that's why we went longer on this one, because he's the man. We didn't even cover the fucking Spinneroonie, dude. I mean,
We just
when you're
did.
dealing with somebody this iconic, man, just trying to get it all in a time restraint, man. You just can't do it.
Yep.
The Spinneroonie was always a thing for him, but when he got to the WWE, it was actually given a name, and it was able to be taken off to greater heights. You know what I'm saying? But we're covering it now. We're not going to get off of here until we make sure we have this thing 100% tight to the top, to the max, to the capacity. All right. We gave y'all a special start time because we already knew that this was going to be a very special edition of the Big Stan Impact Show. As a matter of fact, we're going to make sure everybody's gotten everything off their chest that they want to say about King Booker, starting with you, Pac Daddy.
Well, what I want to say first is Galvatronx. Booker says Booker is a superstar forever, and that's why we're still on. I mean, damn. The hustle, the heart, the love for the business, the love for entertaining us, giving us something, because all of us understand the value of entertainment. Okay. We love our entertainment. We love our platforms, our HBO Maxes, our YouTube, our WWE network, whatever it's going to be. That's our entertainment, and it's our content, and it's our people. And he has brought that among others, but he has done it like, I would just say that he didn't copy anybody. I have so much respect for somebody. You may have people that you're homaging, that you say, oh, I love what you did, so now I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. But those people that homage and they do it different, I got so much respect. You may say, yeah, I'm taking it from this person, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to spin it a whole new way. And he did. You can't say he was like anybody else. And I have so much respect for that. So anything I try to do, I don't want to fucking do anything like anybody else. And that's no shade toward anybody else. That's me wanting to stand out. You know, it doesn't always happen. It's not always easy. But people like this, when I'm watching growing up, are the reason why I want to do things differently.
It's all about being an innovator and not a perpetrator. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. So, the whole King Booker angle, it was like a curtail, you know, a little pat toward the end, you know, a little goofy at times, but man, he still nailed it because there's so many different angles, real, raw, goofy, funny, and he could do every single bit of it and just own it. You know what I mean? Think about where he started. Rough, edgy, smash mouth, and how he ended up. Showing that he could do every single different facet.
That was his way of letting you know how serious he was and passionate that he was about what he was doing. He was willing to go full on character in a way that nobody expected in order to pull off King Booker. If it had been done any other way, it wouldn't have come off the same. We wouldn't have probably cared for it nearly as much if he didn't go about it in the way that he did.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to let my man Wildcard take us out, because you know what? You got to shake off to Miami. You got to shake it off, and you got to bring it. And my man can do it the best. Big Stan can do it the best. I can do it the best. So I'm going to let the best handle it on out the door. And I appreciate everybody who joined, who watches, who will watch it later. I'm living the life. I get to talk to Wildcard. I get to have conversations with him. I get to know Big Stan, have conversations with him. I'm living the dream.
Same here.
So Wildcard, do it.
So check this out real quick. I'm just going to leave you a real simple message for tonight, baby. I want you and all the viewers that aren't you, that are going to watch in the future and watch in the present and watch in the past, to make this real simple for all of you. Next week, it's going to be the same bad time, same bad channel, and we're going to be talking about none other than the Heartbreak Kid.
What? Oh, dude.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Dude, I don't even know if we're ready for that, man. Wow. Are you kidding me? We're ready for everything, but
ready for it. You're ready. We're ready for the man that drops elbows from the sky right before he kicks you in the face.
All I know is next week, get ready to break it down. Yeah.
Hey, a prelude to next week, baby.
And if you're not going to tune in next week, all three of us got 2 words for you.
Suck it. Peace.
Yeah.